Welcome back, everybody, to Creating Hanley. Guess what this is? This is the Ohio Star Block. This Ohio Star Block has 4 colors. That is video 1. This Ohio Star Block has 2 colors. That is video 2. And in today's Ohio Star Block, we are doing 3 colors. So, da-da-da! Now, if you watch my other Ohio Star Block videos, you will see this paper idea draft that I just drew. So in video number 1, I show you how I drew this. So you can draw along with me on that. In video number 2, we just only did 2 colors. So you can skip all the A, B, C, and D because it's only 2 colors. In today's video, we are doing 3 colors, and the middle block is going to be this one. So we are making the exact same hourglass. We're making the exact same hourglass, except this one has a blue and white middle. So it's going to be really simple. So the only time-consuming thing is making those hourglasses. So go ahead, set aside your 4.5-inch blocks. So these are 4.5-inch squares. So you need 1 center and you need 4 corners. So you need 4, whatever color your background is, 4 4.5-inch squares. Okay, now mine look a little bit funky because I used a pillowcase and I tried to use all of the pillowcase that I could. So there's a bit of a seam in here and I tried to put it as close to the end as possible. So maybe it's not going to get lost in a seam allowance, but maybe it'll look like, I don't know, it's going to look funky is what it's going to look like it doesn't belong there. But anyway, it's mine, so I don't really care. It's just a sample block, right? So set aside your 4.5-inch corner blocks and your 4.5-inch center block. Set those aside because we don't need those until the very end. Did I mention that I'm Kimberly at Creating Hanley, and thank you for joining us today on this Ohio Star Block. So we are getting creative, and we are making a 3-color Ohio Star Block. Now go listen to my other videos on why I'm choosing red, white, and blue. There's a reason. So it has something to do with not the American flag, not the United States American flag, but the colors of the Ohio flag. Since we're making an Ohio Star Block, I figured maybe I should research what the Ohio flag looks like. And the colors in the Ohio flag are, funny enough, red, white, and blue. So that's what I'm using today. So get your 6-inch blocks. So you need 4 6-inch blocks, and you need 2 of one color and 2 of your background color. So whatever color you want this to be, or pattern or print or whatever. This is all cotton fabric, so use cotton. And I'm just using solid red and a solid white for both of these. So these are 6-inch blocks. So you put one color on top of the other and face sides together. Right sides together. Happy sides together. Okay, now I am drawing a center line down the diagonal. So this is a line that I'm going to cut on, not sew on. So this is my guide line. Oh, you can't even see that. Pen mark. I'm just using a pen here. All right, maybe this pen is out of ink. Of course, there would be a problem. There's always a problem, guys. And you know this is raw, so I don't edit and I don't script. And maybe some of you like that, and maybe some of you don't. But right now, this is how my videos go. So it is all raw live. This is how life goes. And I'm showing you everything, warts and all. Okay? So you can see. Everything is not always rosy. But you already knew that, right? So let's take it over to the sewing surface. Now we're gonna use this as a guide, and so we're gonna sew 1/4 inch on each side of the line. Okay, so I'm not using a leader this time. I'm just gonna send it straight through, and I'm gonna try to make it as true as a 1/4 inch as I possibly can, because in the other video you saw where it was not a perfect 1/4 inch. I'm always getting those gaps when I meet the 4 corners. So I'm trying to make this as true as possible. And this technique right here is called chain piecing, where I'm not breaking my thread. Just taking it straight through. Uh-oh, that is going to be a little off. For sure. So you can see right here, this is a little bit more narrow than a 1/4 inch. And that's probably going to throw my corners off again. That'll throw my corners off again. So that is how important this part is. If you don't get a 1/4 inch perfectly on both sides of this line, your star points, or maybe not star points, but hourglass points will not match. They'll look like that. Okay? So you can see how that is not matched on any of them, on any of my hourglass points. That's because I did not sew a perfect 1/4 inch on each side of that line. That's how important it is, okay? And because this is pretty much for me, just a sampler. This is just a sampler, so I'm not going to care a whole lot. Maybe I'll throw it up on eBay at some point, but I don't know. So, I don't know. But right now, I'm not going to worry about it too much. So, you take your rotary cutter and line up your straight edge on the drawn line. And then rotary cut right along that drawn line. And I'm using my straight edge to make sure I don't make a mistake. And then cut them apart. And then iron them. Okay? So, iron to the dark side. You can iron open if you like. If you want to take the time to do that, you can iron the seams open. Of course you can. You can iron to the light side if you like. It's really what you're going to do is nest. So once you have these 2 units, nest them. So put the red on the white and the white on the red. Okay? Right sides together. Your dark on the light and your light on the dark. So whatever colors you're using is up to you. But again, because I did not do perfect seam allowances. Wait, what's going on here? Why is this messed up? Oh, you know what? Yeah, that's why it's messed up, because I ironed to the light, so they're not nesting. So I need to go back and redirect the seam so that it goes to the other side so that it can nest. I already know they're not going to match, and I already know I'm going to get a gap, but it's even more difficult when your seams go to the same side. So if you can, try to make them nest and go in opposite directions, okay? So I think maybe because I'm trying to do this faster, it's inevitable, guys. Every time I try to do a fast video, I end up with a ton of mistakes and everything turns out super wonky. And yeah, that's just how that goes. Oh yeah, wonky. I can tell already. It's super wonky. All right. Okay, so where's my straight edge? Let's get a pen. And sew, draw a line, corner and a corner. And this corner is not, it's not square, guys. Okay. And then I'm taking this right over to the sewing machine. And a 1/4 inch. And I have ink on my presser foot, so it's screwing up. I think that's also screwing up my alignment because I see the ink and I don't see the line on my presser foot. So I need to clean that ink off of my presser foot. Uh-oh, my bobbin thread is almost out. All right, well, fortunately that one is done. And so let's cut this one apart just using scissors. And we'll see what happened with this one. Oh my gosh, I cannot believe those corners match. Look at that. Guys, that's a perfect corner. I don't know what happened there, but that, 2 perfect corners. I was really anticipating them not matching, but look at those perfect corners. All right, so, hey, that worked that time. 3rd time's a charm, I guess. So, you should probably open up the seams and iron them with the seams open. I'm just going to iron them to one side. Sometimes that does throw the measurement off. Okay. Now you want to trim this to 4.5 inch. So do that with the other one. Trim it to 4.5 inch. And I showed you how to do that on the other video. My bobbin thread is out. I'm not sure I can find another colored bobbin thread real quickly. I didn't anticipate that. So I don't have anything done. I don't have... You know what? I do, guys. I do. I found this white one. Even though I'm not using white, I'm using cream. It doesn't matter. Nobody's going to see it. So let's finish this real quick. Of course, there's always a problem when I do this quickly, right? All right. So look how quick that is. So I would say, here's a good lesson. Always make sure you have enough thread and extra bobbin before you start your project. Okay, so let's get back to this one and to see if I can recreate that perfect 4 corners. I'm ironing to the dark side so that when I meet these two, light goes on dark, dark goes on light, right sides together. Nest. You can feel where the fabric meets. So if I peel this back, it should meet perfectly, right? It should meet. If I peel it back and look at it, that one's not going to meet. So I need to nudge it just a little bit. All right, hopefully that works. Okay, so you can feel that. It should be flat. And again, I'm going to use my drawn line because I don't have necessarily the right tool. And sometimes my eye doesn't do the quilt justice. All right. So. And again, I still have that ink on my presser foot. I want to make sure this seam is down. So that is really throwing off my line. I can't really see it all that well. So I'm going to have to clean my presser foot. I'm probably just going to use alcohol, just a little bit of an alcohol on a cotton swab so that I can see through, because this is a see-through, this is a transparent presser foot, and there's that black ink. There's a big smudge on it. Now, the big reveal. Let's open this up. Oh my gosh, you guys, I can't believe it. And this is going to be the same too. I cannot believe. So that is the importance of getting an exact 1/4 inch seam allowance down the center on both of those sides, because this is what happens when you get an exact 1/4 inch seam allowance. Okay. So, I guess third time's a charm. This is my third time making the Ohio Star block. There we go. So, I guess practice makes perfect, right? Or what we say in the massage biz, practice makes more practice. Okay. So, it would be wise to open your seam allowances and, open and like this. Open and iron those, but I'm being quick and I'm not really caring a whole lot about which way those go. I'm okay with a little bit of bulk. And so there's these. Okay? Now, let me square these up. Square these up. And I showed you how to do it in the first and second video, so I'm going to use the same process with this one. However, let's get this up closer. However, because these match pretty perfectly, I need to look at which one is the best line. So, yeah, this line is pretty good, but I'm going to use this line as my 45-degree angle because I think that one's the best one. And the same with this. Yeah, this line is pretty good, but I'm going to use this line as my 45-degree angle. Okay? So I'm going to measure how big it is now, and it is 5 inches all the way around. So we want 4.5. So do the half. Make sure you do the half. So I'm going to take off 1/4 inch on one side. About 1/4 inch on one side, and then 1/4 inch on the other. And that should make the 4.5. Now be careful you don't cut your fingers. Swirl this around. And put your 4.5 inch mark. 4.5 inch mark should meet this 45-degree angle line right there. And that's how you know it is squared up. Okay? 4.5 and 4.5 and the 45. And we are good to go. All right. There's one. So measure your block. How big is it? Mine, again, is a little over 5 inches this time. It's about 5 inches. So again, I'm going to take 1/4 inch off on one side. Measuring up the 45-degree line on the line that I want. 1/4 inch. 1/4 inch. Spin it around. Your 4.5 inch mark, so 1, 2, 3, 4.5, and 1, 2, 3, 4.5, and the 45 should be directly on that line, and it is. And we trim, and this is not a good position for me. And we trim. And we trim. Okay. Whoops. And there we go. So, I need to trim off this little extra triangle here. We don't need that. And again, same thing. Now, I will caution, if there are any colored fabric on the underneath of your light colors fabrics ever, make sure you get those out because you will forever see a lint underneath your, even when you quilt it, you're going to forever see lint underneath your quilt block. So make sure that you get rid of all the lint on the underneath. Yeah, on the top, that's easy. You can get rid of that. But it's always going to be there. It's not ever going to go away if it's underneath. Okay? I mean, I think that's probably pretty obvious, but maybe it's not for some folks. Okay, so there's a 4.5, 4.5. The 45 is directly down the center line. And, oh, that moved a little bit, which means I need to cut. Unfortunately, it moved out, so I can still make a second line, and I'm good to go there. So here's our 3, and one more. So you're following along with me, right, folks? You are cutting your squares now also? That's why it's called a quilt along or a sew along. We're doing this together. And even though I can't be in your room with you right now, here I am. I am in your room with you right now. We're sewing along together. So find that 4.5 inch mark. 4.5 on this side, 4.5 on the other side. And line up that 45-degree angle down the center. And you should be good to go. All right. Now, we are done making the hard part. So these are the hourglass. This is what they look like. And we are going to sew them onto our 4.5 inch blocks. So just like before, let's sit this back a little bit. As so. And then you have your corner squares. Like that. And there you go. There's your Ohio star block. Awesome, guys. So again, if you wanted to get creative, you could do this. And it creates a unique pattern. And then the next block over creates a star. So, right? So if you would take, your next block, oh, let's move this over. It creates a star. Now this is going to be white, right? So it's going to look like that. Your next star over. Yeah. So that's the deal. All right, now let's see. We're at 22 minutes. Let's see if we can sew this together. So we're going to take right sides together. So I'm just going to do it the normal Ohio star block way. So I'm going to keep it in the hourglass position like so. So I'm going to keep the white next to the blue center, and then the red goes on the sides. So that's the typical Ohio star block pattern. Okay, so I'm going to take my corner and lay it on the center here of the bottom column, and then sew a 1/4 inch on that side. Let's see if I can erase this. No, I'm going to need to get some alcohol and erase that. Ink mark. So like so. And then I'm going to take the center and right sides together. And I sew a 1/4 inch here. This is called chain piecing. So I don't need to break the thread. And then I know this top piece, right sides together. And see, this is a perfect example. What I was talking about, there's thread on the back of that. No, no, no. You must get rid of that. Get rid of that thread. Okay. Even though there's a white thread in there, you're still going to see that when you quilt it. So make sure all those little threads on the back of your top piece are gone. 100% gonzo. All right, now I'm going to keep this block in there, but I'm going to cut. I'm going to keep the current block under the needle, but I'm going to cut these other 2 off. Now I know this was the top row, so I'm going to take the bottom row, which is this one. I'm going to open that up, and then I'm going to place this right side down. Okay. Right side down, and again, it has a white thread and a red thread, so I'm taking those off. And 1/4 inch seam allowance on all of them. It's not going to change. The whole thing is 1/4 inch seam allowance on everything. And then open this one up. Now if you want to iron them, you can. I'm not going to iron them yet. I'm just going to put these 2 together, right sides together, and then I flip it around to sew on this side. Okay, now I'm going to cut. Again, I'm going to leave my needle down here. I'm going to cut this. Now, this piece is the top, and I need to add this to it. So I'm going to add this right side down and flip it around so that I sew on the raw edge. A 1/4 inch seam allowance. And then this I'm going to open up. So here is one edge, and then I'm just going to sew, or not sew, iron. And again, make sure that you get rid of any extraneous threads. So it looks like this. Okay, now they're all like that. So I'm going to cut the thread here, and I'm going to cut the thread here. I'm going to open this up, and this is what the center looks like. So I am going to iron that open, and then iron this open. Okay, so now these go like this. So now the columns are done, or the rows are done. So now you just want to put the columns together, or the rows, however they work. Okay, so then you line up these, just like you nested the other ones before. You're going to nest these right here. Line those up, and then it should line up perfectly on the back end as well. And you're going to sew down. Now, if you want to throw in a needle here, pin, if you want to throw in a pin, you can. I'm not, because pins stab my fingers, and I use my fingers to massage people, so I do not want stabbed fingers. But we're going to do that, and then 1/4 inch. And then when you come to these bulky corners, go a little bit slower, maybe stop your needle, make sure everything goes through smoothly. And again, if there's anything that flips up on the bottom, you want to make sure it goes the correct direction. There we go. All right. Open that up. Now you can see what it looks like. Did you meet these corners? It's not too bad. It's not the most perfect, but it's not super bad, right? And if you want to, you can iron them. You can iron to open the seams at that point. And then this goes on to here, right side together. So the reason why I flipped it over is because I have this funky thing going on with the pillowcase. And so, you know, I'm just going to do that. But you don't have to do that because it doesn't matter. If you go this way, right? Or if you go this way, it's the same thing. So line up these center rows like so. And 1/4 inch seam allowance. All right, there we go, guys. There is our Ohio Star block with 3 colors. I love it. I'm going to iron it real quick so it's pressed nice and flat. And you can see how... There we go. And you can see how well or not well the edges match up, the corners match up. So there we go. That is our Ohio Star block with 3 colors. And again, you can change the red and white direction around to make it unique for you. How about that, huh? And that's it, guys. Thanks for sewing along with me today, creating our Ohio Star block. 3rd edition, 3 colors, 3 color tones. So I can't wait to put all these together. See you on the next video. Bye for now. Have fun. Have fun, guys. Have fun making these.